I'm going to one case of anemia due to a rare etiology. Although the anemia is a common health problem in India and the nutritional anemia being the most common. Here is in brief the case history about the patient. He was a 44 years male who was admitted in this hospital, Central Hospital, in the month of May with a history of severe weakness and dyspnea. On examination, there was severe pallor, conjunctiva was yellowish, there was huge splenomegaly, spleen was up to umbilicus, and the liver was 1 to 2 centimeter, other systems were normal. On investigation, there was severe anemia, hemoglobin was 3.8 gram %, TLC was on the lower side of the normal range, there was thrombocytopenia, bilirubin was raised, and there was indirect hyperbilirubinemia. All other investigations are within the normal limit. So the provisional diagnosis was pancytopenia with features of hemolytic anemia. In the past history, the patient was admitted thrice in this hospital since his age of 25 years. In the year 1994, there was severe hemoglobin anemia. Hemoglobin was 1.5 gram % during admission. There was hyperbilirubinemia, and the bone marrow, there was hypercellular bone marrow with megaloblastosis. In the 2006, again he was admitted with severe anemia of hemoglobin of 2.6 gram %, and in addition there was leukocytopenia. In 2008, hemoglobin was 6 gram % during discharge, and TLC was 2600 with same bilirubin level. This is the peripheral smear picture on the last admission. There was severe anisopagnocytosis. You can appreciate the degree of anisopagnocytosis, and in the peripheral blood there was nucleated RBC 22 per 100 WBC, and the morphology there was dyserythropoietic nucleated RBCs. The patient was subjected to pathology department because of pancytopenia with requisition of bone marrow examination. Bone marrow was hypercellular. Megakaryocytes are normally seen. There was marked erythroid hyperplasia. These are the erythroid cells, and the granulocytes are normal. Granulocytosis was normal. What was noted? There in the erythroid cells there was marked dyserythropoiesis. These are the erythroid cells showing dyserythropoiesis. That means the cells are not having regular nuclear features. The nucleus are irregular. This is another photograph to show the degree of dyserythropoiesis. Like this. These are the erythroid cells are showing irregular nuclear membrane. Another picture. These are the dyserythropoietic cells. With these findings, the diagnosis, the pulse strain for iron store was on the higher side. With these findings, the bone marrow diagnosis was offered, the hypercellular bone marrow with hyperplasia and dyserythropoiesis. A possibility of congenital dyserythropoietic anemia or myelodysplastic syndrome needs to be ruled out. In short, about the congenital dyserythropoietic anemia, these are rare groups of inherited disorders characterized by congenital anemias, ineffective erythropoiesis, and secondary hemochromatosis. The patients present with anemia, jaundice, splenomegaly, and suboptimal reticulocyte response. Anisopagnocytosis and basal stabilizing are seen on the peripheral smear. These are the tabulation. So, what is significant? In the most common is the CDA type 2. It is the most common type. The patients are variable type of anemia with huge splenomegaly and jaundice. Hepatomegaly may be present. The patient are prone to iron overload. And these are the characteristic bone marrow findings. What we can get in CDA1, this chromatin bridges. And in CDA2, that is seen the binucleated nucleocytes, erythropoietic cells in the peripheral smear as well as bone marrow. And in the CDA type 3, that is a very rare, only few case reports are there, we will get multinucleated giant cells like this type of erythropoietic cells. There was another entity called CDA variant due to GATA1 mutation, which is a very rare entity, and only case reports are available till date. This is one anemia where we will get erythropoiesis along with thrombocytopenia. And this GATA1 is the globin transcription factor 1, which is essential for normal erythropoiesis and erythroid differentiation. So any mutation affecting this gene causes dyserythropoiesis. And erythropoietin regulates this GATA1, and the GATA1 also regulates megakaryopoiesis. Hence, mutation also affects thrombopoiesis. The current diagnostic approach includes the clinical picture, the peripheral blood findings, and characteristic bone marrow light microscopy, followed by identification of the mutated gene by DNA sequencing. Additional specialist tests like bone marrow electron microscopic study or gel electrophoresis of RBC membrane proteins are not required if the DNA sequencing facility is available. So the aim of this presentation here is to highlight the fact that even in the absence of higher diagnostic technology, the morphology is still the gold standard. So now we can compare our case with the data available on the book. That is, this is our nucleated RBC, this erythropoietic cells, which is similar to this nucleated RBC, what is seen in CDA variant. This is the bone marrow findings. Again, these erythropoietic cells are not the chromatin bridges like CDA type 1, not the binucleated cells like in CDA type 2 or multinucleated giant cells in CDA type. Rather, they are having this irregular nuclear membrane like CDA variant. So this is the follow-up of the patient. Patient has severe anemia and suboptimal reticulocyte response, indirect hyperbilirubinemia. On subsequently, patient was found on electrophoresis with hemoglobin E and beta thal patient, and CT scan of the abdomen showed secondary hemochromatosis. So to conclude the diagnosis, the patient is considered to have the congenital dyserythropoietic anemia variant, that is GATA1 due to GATA1 mutation. That means the patient has thalassemia, thrombocytopenia along with congenital dyserythropoietic anemia due to GATA1 mutation. Our patient is considered for the gene sequencing study. Thank you.
Now, session is open for discussion. I think no questions from the audience. Because of rare disease, nobody is exposed to the type of anemia. So first time we are hearing. So what is the follow-up now? What do you want to do in this case?
We are planning for the DNA sequencing. That is the only investigation we can go for and to establish the diagnose the case. Morphological patients fitting with the CDA variant, but is a very rare entity. And before stamping the patient as a CDA variant, we must do for DNA sequencing. All electron microscopy, because in India only in AIMS and PGI the electron microscopy is available. We cannot go for.
But can it all investing help the patient?
Sorry?
Is all the investing will help the patient? Outcome?
No other investigations are available.
But outcome will be any change?
Outcome is like this. The treatment protocol is for the CDA type 1. There is no treatment is required. Only there is mild to moderate anemia. In CDA type 2, you can give alpha interferon that will reduce your hemochromatosis and anemia burden. And for this variant, you can again go for alpha interferon therapy or splenomegaly. That will give patient will reduce the secondary hemochromatosis. The most important thing what I must mention here, these patients are prone for secondary hemochromatosis. So blood transfusion has to be done very on the justified ground, and patient to be on the follow-up to avoid this hemochromatosis, so that patient can be put on chelation therapy.
Okay, thank you, madam. I call up